Hello everybody, welcome back to K-Sports Sunday. I'm Untitled001, once again joined by Jason. And switching out for John, Hand, and TJ is Benji and TK. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good, how about you?
Doing great, thanks. Alright, well let's jump right into our second segment. Talk about baseball, which is only 8 days away, and our hometown team here, the Boston Red Sox. Anything to look forward in the first game?
Well, Jackie Bradley Jr., I guess, if he does play. Jacoby Ellsbury hurt his heel in a game against the Phillies. I believe that was yesterday. So heel's really hurting the Red Sox with Ortiz injuring both, and now Ellsbury, I believe it was his right heel. So that may open up a spot for Jackie Bradley Jr.
What about you guys?
I really think Jackie Bradley Jr. has a legitimate shot of making the opening day roster. I mean, his spring stats are pretty good. 20 for 45 with 1 home run, 3 doubles, and 5 RBIs in 20 games. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, I think he should be making the opening day roster because he's got to have a great bat, as you just mentioned, and he's also been flawless in the outfield. And Johnny Gomes is almost kind of a defensive liability. So I think Jackie Bradley Jr. might be the better choice.
And also, he's only struck out 5 times.
Right, which is pretty good.
So that's pretty impressive.
What I'm really looking forward to is how this Red Sox team meets to the hype or the non-hype. This is the first year that the Red Sox have been known as a very bad team. Last year, coming into last year at least, they weren't exactly known as a last-place team, which they finished last year. This year, not high expectations. I'm interested to see, will that be a good thing? Maybe the Red Sox are better under no pressure than under the pressure of Fenway Lights and great expectations. That's what I'm interested to see.
Well, yeah, of course, and this is obviously the scenario is very different for Red Sox Nation. I mean, coming in, we're not picked, the Red Sox are not picked to finish first or whatever, and I think this is going to be really impressive to see how the Sox react to that.
They're not going to finish very well. We also what happened to them last year, just almost awful. Like, they couldn't produce any.
Well, I think Bobby Valentine could be to blame for that.
He could be part of the blame, but some of it was just the way they were playing. And they're probably going to finish around 500 in third or fourth place, maybe even last, and not make the playoffs.
Well, if they finish in third or fourth place, it'll still be a dramatic improvement from last year.
Right, even if they finish at 500, even maybe a little better.
Yeah.
You mentioned Bobby Valentine, Tom. How much of an impact did he have on the Red Sox last year?
Well, it was kind of a sort of a downer because the Red Sox were not a very fun team to watch. They were you really didn't want to like the team.
Yeah, and pitching was really what hurt them last year. They were able to score they had games where they would score 12, 13, even 14 runs, and they would still lose. And John Farrell, who was the former pitching coach, now he gets to work with the pitchers again, something that's familiar with the pitchers, and that's what I think this team needs.
The Red Sox, usually known as not an offensive team, but more of a defensive team that doesn't give a lot of runs. John Lester in his prime, Josh Beckett, who's now gone, he's on the Dodgers right now. Without Josh Beckett, without Carl Crawford, without Adrian Gonzalez, how will this team do this year?
Well, I think you're going to have to look to talent. Jacoby Ellsbury, if he can come back and stay healthy, that will help them. And Johnny Gomes, Shane Victorino, they're going to have to step up, I think.
What about you guys?
Well, I have to agree with you. If Jacoby Ellsbury can stay healthy, he has proven to be a very good player. Benji?
Obviously, all these other players in the Red Sox are going to have to step up. If Ellsbury can hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases like he did a few years ago, and if Shane Victorino and Johnny Gomes, like we just mentioned earlier, Jackie Bradley Jr., if they can all step up, it could be a pretty good team.
And I think Jacoby Ellsbury and Dustin Pedroia, guys who they still have, who have been with the Red Sox before, they need to take a leadership role, take the initiative, and help guys like Shane Victorino, younger guys like Jackie Bradley Jr., welcome them and make them a team. It's not the Red and the Sox, it's the Red Sox.
You mentioned leadership, Jason, and during the Chicken and Beer Gate, I believe that's the Chicken and Beer Gate is what it's being called around here. Stories a couple of years ago about drinking a beer and eating fried chicken in the penthouse.
Might as well be a penthouse.
Why I think that happened was a lack of leadership on the team. Who will step up this year to be their leader?
I think you got to look toward Jacoby Ellsbury or Dustin Pedroia again. Guys who have been there. Normally I would say David Ortiz, but he's injured, so he may not be out there.
What about you guys?
I have to agree with you guys. I mean, guys who have been there, done that, Jacoby Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia, and when he comes back, David Ortiz.
I completely agree. You have to look to players who have established their game and played a lot of their career with the Red Sox. Can't look to newer people. You have to look to people who have played with this team and know what's going on, what the Red Sox want to accomplish.
All right, thanks, guys. Moving on to another team, the Boston Bruins, who I believe yesterday lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Tom Kelly not very happy about that. Tom, why did the Bruins lose a game to this struggling Maple Leafs team?
Too little, too late. The Bruins obviously made way too many mistakes. I mean, the third goal, I mean, you could probably blame Hudobin for that goal, but it was a very soft goal to be to sugarcoat it. But obviously, the Bruins either need to make a move at the deadline or juggle their lines. And earlier today, Claude Julien did juggle his lines. And Benji, what do you think the Bruins have to do down the stretch to make a legitimate run in the playoffs?
I think obviously, like you said, they need to mix up their lines. They need to change things around. If something isn't working, you need to change around what you do to score goals. I mean, if they only had like a few goals in this stretch. They only had like 6 goals, I think, in this 4-game road trip. So they need to jiggle their lines. They need to trade for somebody who can help them on their power play.
Yes, definitely. And the only lines that are been up to expectations this season has been the Bergeron line and the Merlot line. But the third line and the second line have not performed to expectations. And when finally the second line was getting their groove again, David Krejci got hurt. So it's really messing with their chemistry. But I think the third line is a big issue, and you got to get Peverley's attention, too.
And that Krejci loss is going to be a huge loss down the stretch.
It was the reason why the Bruins blew the 3-0 lead against the Philadelphia Flyers back in 2000.
Do you know his timetable, Tom, for his return?
He's been listed as day-to-day.
Day-to-day. That is obviously a huge loss. Krejci, really one of the leaders on that second line, and to me, that's why they have to make a big move. If Krejci was still in, I would not push the panic button, but I need a panic button right now for a bigger move on the second line.
They have to. I was reading up on possible trade rumors. I was reading on Dallas's Brendan Morrow, Derek Roy even, or maybe Phoenix's Keith Yandle that could maybe help their power play.
Yeah, and the Bruins really, I believe they kill 92% of their penalties, and they really need to help their young goaltenders. So really, your defense needs to be solid, especially losing Krejci, who before he left, he had, I believe, 7 goals and 17 assists or something like that. So he's very active offensively, but losing that, you need your Zdeno Chara and your defenseman to step up.
If the Bruins don't make a move by the deadline, how big will this Krejci injury be?
It would be big. I mean, when David Krejci went out in 2010, it was apparent that the Boston Bruins offense was absolutely destroyed. I mean, they blew the 3 games. They lost 4 games in a row. They lost 4 games in a row to the Philadelphia Flyers, and David Krejci is one of the Bruins' biggest playmakers, and he slows the game down. The way he plays the game, it's just unbelievable. He is a huge offensive weapon to the Bruins, and he will be sorely missed if he does not come back.
All right, thank you, Tom, for those great insights, and thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to our interview now with Comcast Sportsnet broadcaster Kevin Walsh. Let's take a look at some questions we asked Kevin.
Hello, welcome back to K-Sports Sunday here on YBA TV. We're in the Rex Trailer Boomtown studio. Alongside me is TJ, Jason, and Benji, and joining us now is Comcast Sportsnet anchor and reporter Kevin Walsh. Kevin, how you doing today?
Hey guys, how are you?
Thanks for coming on, Kevin.
It's good to be here. What's going on?
So this is March Madness. How's your bracket looking?
It was destroyed from the very beginning. Harvard messed it up, and so did everybody else. Florida Gulf Coast did, but you know what? I don't care. I don't get into it I mean, I get into it emotionally, but I don't put $5 in the office pool like some other people do. I just love to watch the tournament because it's all about passion. I think the quality of play is really good, and I've never got the brackets right. I've done it with the good science. And then I've done it with other wacky stuff like the best uniforms. And I think what I ought to do from here on out is to take whatever it is and what I think is right and then go in the opposite direction. And maybe that'll help because nothing has worked over the years.
There's definitely no right formula for the bracketology. There's just no way to do it. I feel like always the people who don't know what they're doing always get it right. Like my sister does not watch any college basketball, and yet she always gets the right bracket and beats me out.
You see what I'm talking about? Where it's like it's the secretary at the office that knows nothing, and picks it based on the uniform colors or something else. So, I mean, what does that tell you? It's such a crapshoot. It's like buying a lottery ticket to win one of those things. But at the same time, if you don't take it all that seriously and you just look at it as a lot of fun, which I do, then I love it every year, and I do it. Although at the same time, I get frustrated and say, why do I get so upset about this? I guess you can't have it both ways. You just have to enjoy it for the good sport that it is.
Hi, Kevin. TJ Horgan here. And
hey, TJ.
Today the Patriots re-signed Sebastian Vollmer. I was wondering what kind of addition you see him being in the future of the Patriots to this organization.
Well, I think it's a good signing. I don't know the details of how much money it's going to be, but I think he's probably gotten his fair market share. We'll probably get the answer coming out as the week drags on. But I think his agent probably looked around a little bit and realized that the market for him was not all that great, and it was best to stay where he was. The question with Sebastian, he's very good. I don't know that he's as good as, say, Matt Light was, and I know it's on the different side. But at the same time, for him, it's a question of durability. He's had ankle problems, he's had back problems, and he's not that old. He's 28, and he's had these problems already and has had a couple of surgeries. We'll see. But the market, as far as replacing him, it's the devil that you know versus the devil that you don't, not just for him, but also for the team. And I think it's a good signing.
Now, do you see any more dire needs in the Patriots that can be filled with a free agent here or there?
Well, I still think we could have a downfield threat if the price is right for different guys. And I know people are still upset about Wes Welker, but in the end, just remember one thing. The Patriots have a formula. They're almost like the San Francisco 49ers were years ago. They let guys go or they trade them when they feel like their best football is behind them. Now, I know you can look at the most recent body of work with Wes Welker and say, what are you talking about? He had a great season. Just remember, he's going to be 32 coming up, and he's taken a lot of hits over time, and history tells you, be it Wes Welker or somebody else, once you start hitting 32, whether you're injured or not, the wheels start to fall off.
Yeah, so getting back to March Madness, we've seen a lot of mid-majors, to say the least, Gonzaga, VCU, and St. Louis this year doing well. Do you think that these mid-majors should move to a Power 6 conference?
Well, I think we're starting to see that kind of with what Butler has joining the Atlantic 10, and it's not so much a matter of school size as it is what kind of ability do you have. I mean, if you look at like Georgetown, who's been in the Big East for the longest time, Georgetown only has, I believe, 8,000 students, so it's not a big school, and neither is Villanova by the standards if you're going to compare it to some of the schools from the SEC or from the Big Ten or the Pac-12, where you have as many as 30 to 40,000 students. Georgetown and Villanova have 8,000 to 10,000 students. And then Florida Gulf Coast, that doesn't have that many. It just comes down to you have a good institution with a good coach and a place where players that maybe were snubbed by those bigger programs can go play. Look at the Butlers. Look at the Florida Gulf Coast. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And for guys that just want to play good college basketball, they can look at those. And if you're any good, it doesn't matter where you are. Somebody, if you want to take it to the next level in the NBA or other professional leagues, they're going to see you and they're going to give you a call.
Kevin, TJ again. Who do you have for a favorite this year, as of now, to win the championship?
To win the I have Louisville going the whole way. And it was interesting that Rick Pitino, I don't know if he was doing some professional courtesy for the coach of Colorado State, but he said that is the best team that they've played in the tournament early on in some 8 years. I didn't really believe that, although I thought Colorado State was pretty good. I have Louisville going the whole way just because I think they have the horses.